I'm Linda with paperboutique.blogspot.com, and today I will be showing you how to make fancy rosettes. This is my third video on rosettes. My first video was on how to make basic rosettes. My second was on how to make metallic looking rosettes made out of duct tape. And in this video, I want to demonstrate a couple of tricks that I've learned along the way and show you some decorated rosettes. And also I want to show you some rosettes using new silhouette cutting files. Well, let's begin. And first I'll just move these out of the way for a moment. First I want to talk about just the regular rosettes. And if you haven't had a chance to look at my basic video on making rosettes, you may want to take a look at it. But this is what I wanted to share with you about the regular rosettes, that you can vary them greatly depending on the size of paper that you use. For each one of these, I use a 12-inch wide strip, but I vary, or a 12-inch long strip, but I vary the width. For example, in this particular rosette, I did the width is 3/4 of an inch. And what I did is I used twine and I tied it through a button, and then I used hot glue to glue the button on, and I'll show you a couple of tricks in a moment. This is scored every 1/4 of an inch and is text weight. Now you can see how this particular one looks a little different than this one. This particular rosette is still 12 inches by 1 inch, and it's scored every 1/4 of an inch, and these are all text weight. And text weight is paper that's just a little heavier than copy paper or computer paper. And then for a different look, oh, and this was just punched with a circle punch out of Halloween paper. I believe this is from Die Cuts with a, this piece of paper was from Die Cuts with a View. And then this rosette, I scored every 1/2 an inch, so you've got added depth, and then I just put a brad. And you can make this bigger by gluing 2 12-inch sheets of the paper together. And once again, this is 1 inch wide. And so that's just a quick way that you can vary your basic rosette. But now I want to talk to you a little bit more about the punched rosettes, and I'm going to move this because I'm going to need the cutting board in just a moment, or the scoreboard in just a moment. And these are just smaller rosettes, and this one is done using a punch by Martha Stewart, and I'll show you how to do that. And again, a circle punch from pattern paper. And this one is from a punch from EK Success, and these are both 12 inches long, and this one is, I think, 1 inch wide, and this is about 3/4 of an inch. But I want to quickly show you how to go ahead and punch the paper, and I'm pretty sure you've all seen this technique. Let me move this. What I do is I'll go ahead, and I know you all know how to line it up, so I'll just do that quickly. I will do this, and then I'll move it, you know, start at this end, but I started in the middle so that you can see, and then just go ahead and line it up here. Whoops, sorry. Line it up here and punch, and then continue until you have everything punched along the edge. And then what I do is I'll measure from this end and then cut this at 1 inch. And I don't know if you can see that because of the pattern, but let me bring in an example. And what I like to do with a fancy punch, and I'm not sure if you can see this, I will line it up in between. There's a valley, and I will just line that up, and I brought in, you can use your Score Pal. This is Martha Stewart. And what I do is I'll center that, and I'll center that little circle, and then I'll score here. You have to manually move it so that you're scoring it in every valley. Now wait, let me get this out of the way because I'm afraid you're not seeing it as clearly, and then you just go ahead and fold it so you can see it scored here. What you could also do is line it up here and score it in the middle so you could have more folds. And this, then you'll just go ahead and accordion fold it, just like making your basic rosette. And then what I do is I use to glue the ends, I use the Scotch Quick Dry Adhesive because it dries really quickly, especially if I'm in a hurry. So I will just put glue right here, and then I'll put this together and match it up. And I'll use a paper clip to let it dry for about 10 minutes. And then what you get is this cute little one, but I've made some in the past with punches that are a little bit bigger. So what I would do is I would cut 2 of these, glue them end to end, and then make a larger rosette if you wanted it larger. And they're just so cute. And I have a, like I said, a circle punch here, and on the back, and I'll show you this technique, I also use a little punch. Okay, now what I want to show you is a couple of the newer files. These are a la K files, and they're silhouette Cameo files. And what I wanted to show you, and I'll show you the trick to make them easy to fold in a moment, but when you do cut them, they come in this size, and I don't know if you can see it, but they are marked for score lines. What I did is I just inked that because you could see the score lines. I don't like the look of the perforations at all. So what I did is I went ahead and cut the file, and I used the Silhouette software, and I removed all of those score lines, and then I just folded it manually. I saw that it was scored here, and so I just went ahead and scored it manually. These two are exactly the same size. The difference is I squeezed this one a little closer together than I did this one. I used a scallop circle, and then I used a 1-inch circle underneath, and I used these cute little buttons that I got at Walmart for 4 of them for $1. This is also, and we're going to make this one in a moment, this is also an a la K file, again using a scallop circle and the button. And you can see that when you import the file, you'll see that the score lines are here, which I removed, and then I just manually scored it, just like I did this in every mark. Well, the one thing I do want to mention, all of the other ones are text weight. This is really heavy cardstock, and I think this might have been from that Die Cuts with a View Halloween package. Really heavy cardstock, and this, I don't think that this is basil paper, but it's a piece I had in my stash, but it's as thick as basil. So the look will be a little bit different. Where these are text weight, they're a little lighter look, but I like varying the textures. Well, let me show you the trick I use to make it easy. And I want to thank Deal, it's Deyll, for making me aware of this idea. And she also posted a video on this idea, and it works perfectly. Well, what I did, let me move this out of the way. I went ahead and I cut this file using some Halloween paper. I put it all together, and I've let it dry for about, oh gosh, this has probably been about 30 minutes ago. And now normally I'd be struggling with it and trying to get it to fit. This is the trick. And you can use, happens to be a lid off of salad dressing. And this is a lid off of a spice jar. This is a lid off of a glitter. This particular lid is off of my binder clips. It's just any type of lid that you have that will fit. And some of them will work better. Those that have like really defined ridges will work even better because it'll hold your rosette. Well, let me just show you a couple of things. What I like to do is I like to do the back. I glue on the back instead of the front, because no matter how hard you try, it's hard to get it in a perfect circle. I just sit it in and push it down. Now, in a lot of the lids, the ridges will hit just right that you can lift up and it won't pop up. You don't need any, it's hands-free basically. In this case, you do need one hand, which I found this is so much simpler than trying to struggle. Now in this case, if you wanted it larger, which is like what I did for this one, as opposed to this size, I just will go ahead, hold it with one hand, bring in, I'm not going to do it because of time, my hot glue gun, make sure I've got this even, run a thick bead of hot glue all the way around there, and then I'll glue a 1-inch circle. When that dries, I'll flip it over, like there's an example. I'll flip it over, and then I'll use hot glue again on the front of it. And I like that because I can, it's already stabilized, and I can make sure that I'm in the center. It's not moving around. But let's say you don't want this large of a gap, and it's pretty rare that I do that large of a gap. All you'll need to do is find a different size lid, and I'll just pick this up and see that might, no, it's not going to stay by itself. But if I've done some of the little ones in these, and they'll just stay totally without popping up. So I would do the same technique, make sure I get it even, and that's what's nice about this. You can make sure your folds are even. Put glue all the way around it, hot glue. Put this on, and then flip it over. And you really probably wouldn't have to glue the front again with hot glue. You could just probably just glue the circle with this, but I just like they're really durable that way. And if you don't want, you know, if you want it even smaller, like you'd want it touching like that, all you need to do is just find the right size lid. And it's such an easy technique. Well, let me bring in, and when we're finished, this particular one will look like this. I just want to bring some of them in, and they're just super fun and super easy to do. Well, I would like to thank you for watching, and please visit my blog at www.paperboutique.blogspot.com for more projects and ideas. Bye-bye.